my name's Abby. I'm part of the native databases team, and our responsibility is for the backends, including Postgres, BigQuery, and SQL Server, and as well as kind of Postgres flavors like Citus. I'm going to give a very, very brief demo into some of the capabilities that we now have on BigQuery, such as queries, permissions, and nested relationships. And then I'll hand over to Rakesh to see what he's been working on. So I've split my screen into two. On the right-hand side, we can see that I've got a BigQuery data set in the Google Cloud Platform. I have a small data set called library with articles and authors table. You can kind of see the schema there. I'm not going to do a demo with a humongous data set, but you can basically do all of the same things regardless of the size and number of data sets that you have. First thing I'm going to do is connect to a BigQuery database. So I have the options here to connect via a service account key or an environment variable. I have a service account set up already. And because I don't want to kind of expose that too much, I'm just going to copy and paste that in a different window so you don't see all of my service account details. Connect the database and refresh this page. And if by magic, I should now have access to a BigQuery dataset and also access to the library dataset within the BigQuery data source. Next up, I want to track all of my tables, both articles and authors, so that I can have access to kind of querying capabilities. And the way I'm kind of going to briefly structure this demo is to also show off the documentation that we have. So these are just the standard Hasura docs. And we've recently, or rather the docs team have done a bunch of work to update and make more clear the capabilities that we have across all of the different backends. So today I'm going to be illustrating simple queries, relationships, and permissions on BigQuery, and I'll kind of use the docs as a bit of a pointer to do that. So the first thing that I'm going to do now that I've got access to my tables is just run a really simple query and just illustrate that works. That's nice. That's nice and easy, but we automatically have access to as many as the data sets that you've tracked on the Hasura console. Next up, I wanted to take a look at relationships. So sort of taking a look at the nested object queries. Each of these little checkboxes links to the things that you can access, the documentation that you can access on the right-hand side. So in order to set up relationships, I need to go back to the data manager. I'm going to set up a relationship on the articles table. Oh, I should mention here that because BigQuery doesn't have a notion of kind of primary key or foreign key constraints, we can do this all manually via Hasura. So that's something quite nice that just introduces some consistency across different backends. I'm going to introduce an author relationship on the articles table, referencing the author ID across the two different tables. So that's one object relationship. I can also configure an array relationship here. From the author ID to the article ID. Sorry, I've done that one. So that, and then we can see for both tables, we have those relationships configured. Then when I try to run a query using those, for example, I want to see an article with all of their authors, I can do that, and I have a full list of the articles along with their authors and the author name and whatever other information you want to link to. So that's quite an interesting thing that we can do via Hasura that actually might not be an ideal use case for a lot of BigQuery datasets, to be honest, but it's something that we can do consistently across all of the datasets that we have. Last but not least, I wanted to show permissions or some kind of the data validations docs. So I'll go back to the data manager and introduce a permission on the articles table that says that the author should only have access to the articles that they've written. So I'm going to apply a custom check on the author relationship and say that the author ID must equal the current Hasura user ID. So if you were in an application or something, the author was previewing this via some kind of UI, then they should only be able to access the articles that they've written. Before I run that query, I need to update the request headers to specify the role that I'm using and the user's ID, and then I should be able to run that query. And here it just filters on the articles for that particular author. So that's me. I'm just going to wrap up really, really quickly to give Rakesh some time to demo what he's been working on.
Thanks for Abby for this presentation. I will continue the BigQuery. We also have the computer field support. As some of you guys know, we have the computer field support in Postgres. Similarly, we did the same in BigQuery. What are computer fields? Computer fields are nothing but if you have a function, an SQL function that returns a table. So in BigQuery create table function define is a syntax that defines a function which returns a set of table. We mean a set of rows. So we can add this function as a computed field. What does that mean? So if you have any function that returns any set of rows, and if it takes any input, let's say in this case, it's a fetch article is a function, it takes an author ID, and it also takes a search string and gives you a list of articles of that author ID where the the title or the content has the search string. So yeah, so let me demo the same. So here is my GraphQL. GraphQL. I'm running GraphQL engine locally. You can see the logs here, and this is API console. And then here is my BigQuery source. I have a dataset named communities called demo. Let me show my BigQuery dataset. So yeah, this is how the BigQuery dataset looks like. I have given the env variable for a service account, and then yeah, my project ID, and then the data set. So fine, let me show the article and author table. I have a few articles and then a couple of authors. Fine. Let me add a BigQuery computed field. So to add, we can add a lot of ways, but console support will be added soon. Let me try with that API. So we can use BigQuery add computed field API to define a computed field for a BigQuery table. So have that the request ready. Before that, let's add a function in our data set. So let me copy this function definition and then go to data tab, SQL, and then add this function. Function is like fetch articles, which takes an author ID argument and then gives bunch of articles of that author ID where the search string matches. Like, let me add this. Fine, execute it. Let me also add the computed field. Let me also define the computed field. So if you see the computed field, I'm defining for the author table in the dataset community called demo, and then the name is fetch articles, and the function is fetch articles, and also we should also specify which table that computed field returns. So it returns article table from dataset. So and also argument mapping. So argument mapping in the sense like what what input argument of the computed field, the function has mapping, which means like the column value, uh, the the column value will be mapped to the input argument. I will show you how this works after adding this computed field. So let me copy this and so I'm just doing a curl request to add this computed field. Right, done. Uh, just added a computed field. Let me check. So this is my community called demo author. It just fetch author. Yeah, I'm fetching ID too. Let me also fetch articles. I just had a query search article where I'm searching on keyword second. Fine, second. second article written by allies. Let me also search this keyword. Cool. Article written by allies with a keyword. I'm able to search that article. And also let me show the SQL that is being generated. This is the SQL. Let me copy and paste it here. See. So here we are actually calling the function here, like from community call demo fetch articles, where the search will be a param1. So we use the parameterized queries. So param1 will be our search keyword, the name, and then author ID argument will be the author's ID, t dot author ID. So yeah, by this way you can add like different computed fields and by using the functions, and also you can refer to these documents. And please let us know, please try this out and please let us know your feedback.